trying to get the volume to go down, but it's not going down. But I want to thank everybody for coming. It's really an amazing turnout. So just give us a second, and we will continue on with the program. And all your friends are not here.
Wow, right? Can you guys hear me? So my name's Cherie Eckert. This is my husband Tom, and we're the founders of the Oregon Psilocybin Society. We're also the chief petitioners of the up-and-coming PSI 2020, which stands for the Psilocybin Service Initiative here in Oregon, that we are hoping to be voting on in the year 2020 to legalize access to psilocybin services. So we'll talk to you a little bit more about that in a minute here, but I just want to take the time to honor the people that we just saw in this film. And I've had the courage to go through something unfamiliar, and we're able to come out of it on the other side with bravery to face something that we all don't like to think about, and that's death. And they were able to see it differently and to sit with it and to acknowledge that their journey didn't have to be frightening, that they could have peace. Just well done, and so thankful for Robert, and so thankful for this video that I hope you would do as much as it did us. So, how do
I
we
want to
start
honor
out?
the research too. I mean, just the Johns Hopkins, the Hefter Research Institute, which backs all that wonderful research. We are all for it, and at the same time here in Oregon, we're interested in pushing forward, maybe at a faster clip, because we think these services should be available. I think it's fantastic. The research is, they follow kind of a medical model, so they look at conditions where this would help the most. And I think it was super appropriate to start with end of life or cancer-related anxiety, because this is existential medicine. And I like how he said it's meaning-based medicine. And so when we look at that, you know, we're all in an existential situation, obviously. We all ultimately face mortality. And, you know, a lot of the areas where psilocybin is most effective so far, and we're still learning all about it, but things like addictions, right? Various anxiety and depression, and then just the tension of living. These are ultimately meaning issues. You know, in this movie, we saw people step back and see their lives in a more profound light, right? This is something that can benefit us all, as most of you know. So in our initiative that we've written the language, we are in active campaign mode. We are looking this summer to start collecting signatures. About 140,000 signatures we'll need. We need a lot of, it takes an army. It's not, you know, we're here trying to shape the energy, but it's really everybody. It's you guys. It's everyone who's reaching out and wanting to help to shape the energy to make this happen, because Oregon should take the lead on psilocybin. Oregon should take the lead. We can lead a transformational movement that's going to unfold across the country and the world, because we're smart enough to do that. And we have the population to do it. We have the mindset to do it. So this is, things close to all of our hearts. You guys would not be here if you weren't open to it and understanding that this is something that is potentially changing consciousness. But we're kind of sick as a society right now. We need to reclaim ourselves. You know, we talk in our talk that maybe some of you saw last time we were here. We talk about reclaiming consciousness, right? Reclaiming our truth. And that's what this is about. And, you know, I think it's appropriate. The research started with kind of facing mortality, because that's where ultimately the meaning is. It's getting the sense of your entire life differently. And you know, I didn't prepare any comments on this, but you know, we could go on about this, but I think, you know, there's a lot of people who are wanting to help and supportive, and I want to give John a chance to talk a little bit about his thoughts about this movement and the movie, because he is one of the kind of statesmen of this.
Well, what I liked in what was said in here is that the scientists were saying they're looking for the next generation, so Star Trek, next generation, here we are, all of us, right? So we need to move this out of the universities and out of the research settings and into the hands of the people. But we need to be smart about how we do this. We need to follow the protocol that has been established that shows that if done in a safe environment, if issued in such a way where the setting is such that you will feel safe and you will feel connected to the people that are going to facilitate your experience, this can be one of your top transformational experiences in life. And you don't have to have a terminal diagnosis to have this experience. As a matter of fact, imagine if all of us who simply wanted to know that we don't have time. Time is something that is escaping all of us. So if we were able to experience this and free ourselves from some of the conditions that we struggle with, like anxiety, like depression, like sadness or grief that we just haven't been able to move through, or reconnecting with our consciousness in a way that we currently don't. Imagine how we could be the change we wish to see, because people are suffering, right? So we'll talk more about the initiative if we have time, because we really want you to understand what it is. It's a very sound framework, a regulated framework in which there would be legal access to psilocybin services, much like here.
I think we're taking our cues from the science. They're doing it the right way. The difference would be that we do not want to base this just on qualifying conditions. We want to open up these services to everybody. We also want to get it out of just hospital settings and things like that. There will be training involved to become a facilitator, but you don't necessarily need to be a psychiatrist or whatnot. We want to open up avenues for people that have the heart and disposition to do this kind of work, because we do not think it's just strictly a medical kind of approach. It's a different approach, a new approach, as the movie's called. So those are some of the key components, but we are building off the research. You know, and the research is building off, you know, prior research, and that prior research was building off of ceremonial use throughout the ages. So this has been building for a long time. This is not new, but it's new to Western culture and medicine. So we want to, you know, approach it in a way that makes sense for our culture today, but we want to bring in what's really important here, and that's the transformational quality of psychedelics.
It's great you guys found that. Do you guys have a copy of the proposal with you?
Well, where we're at with that is the language is basically done. We are in the last little phase of cleaning up loose ends. We are working with the Legislative Council to put those final touches on. And the timeline is basically that in July we can start gathering signatures for the initiative. So at that point, we want to be ready for that, so have the ballot title. So the process is that we turn in the language to the Secretary of State. They do a kind of bit of little procedure and then get it back to us, and then in July we're off to the races. So then we'll open it up to everybody.
And how much time do you need to raise up those 140,000 signatures?
Roughly.
We don't know exactly, because right now we're in the 2018 election cycle, and so we don't know exactly right now how many signatures. So we're shooting for 130,000, because many will be duplicates, some will be people who aren't registered voters, and so that we have 2 years literally to collect those. However, we're hoping that we can collect them sooner and know that it will be on the ballot, so that we can then start focusing on what it's going to take to get everybody to the booth to put their vote in. So if you're not a registered voter, please do so this week. Seriously, we're ready to start getting the signatures, but we will have that.
That's great.
Supposedly on June 18th is when we'll get that.
Look forward to it. I just got to say, from my own experience. Actually I mentioned this at my talk the other day, but I was a guest at Sheridan, Oregon federal prison about 20 years ago. First I got arrested. I won't get into that story, that's a long story, but anything that will help people not go to jail for the use of a plant, I didn't think we need to support.
Let me add one thing because it's important, I forgot to mention it. So our initiative, the language of the initiative includes two parts, basically. The bulk of the language is creating this regulatory framework to create access to these services. So that involves training centers, service centers, and the production of psilocybin products. Another side to the initiative is we want to drastically reduce penalties for common possession. So you will not be hit with a felony or even a misdemeanor. It will be a ticket, basically, a violation for usable amounts of psilocybin. So that's a huge change as well, and we think is a sensible way to go in terms of not ruining people's lives by getting caught picking